Hi, my name is Zachary Kirsch, and this is my presentation on how George St. Pierre was a leader. So, a little background on GSP. He was born on May 19th, 1981, in Quebec, Canada. He, as of recently, was inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame. During his fighting career, and especially in his time in the UFC, he was a two-time welterweight champion. For those who don't know, that's the 170-pound division. And then after a 4-year layoff, he became the middleweight champion. And he ended up retiring after that, vacating the title. He coached the Ultimate Fighter previously, and that was alongside Josh Koscheck, who St. Pierre ended up beating in the end. And when St. Pierre retired, it was in 2019. Pretty sure it was for medical reasons. So George St. Pierre had a lot of influence in the world. He was a pioneer for especially Canadian mixed martial arts, because at the time that when he was competing, he was the only big face that was from Canada. There weren't really many fighters from Canada to begin with. But then, like, having St. Pierre's name be on the card, that brought a lot of inspiration for like the Canadian crowd. And now you'll see a lot more Canadian fighters fighting on cards, in the UFC. And because of St. Pierre's traditional karate background, he inspired many people to start mixed martial arts. And another little bit about him is that he was bullied as a child, and he used karate to help stand up for himself and also defend himself. That was pretty helpful, but at the same time, he learned how to handle himself in different environments. He learned how to control his emotions and stuff. So his values on leadership and the style that he leads with, he tends to be more innovative, meaning he's more creative. He doesn't like to do things quote unquote by the book. He tends to lead by example, where he lets his actions speak for themselves rather than having his words convey a message. He values innovation from leaders, meaning he seeks for other leaders to be creative and adapt to the situation that they're currently in. He treats every challenge in front of him the same way, no matter who he's going against or no matter what he has to deal with. So meaning he's not overestimating or underestimating the challenge in front of him. And he focuses on success rather than result. So if you end up learning a lot more, but you end up having a negative result, it's still a win no matter what, because you're learning more about yourself, about how you function with hardship. So when George St. Pierre had mistakes, because he wasn't undefeated in the UFC, he lost twice. The first time he lost to the former champion Matt Hughes, where he overestimated him. St. Pierre he wasn't mentally confident that he would win against Hughes, but at the same time, looking back at the fight, GSP realized that he had the skills to beat him. And then when the second fight came around between St. Pierre and Hughes, he ended up winning. therefore changing the original outcome, and then becoming the UFC welterweight champion for the first time. And then when he lost to Matt Serra, he ended up underestimating him, the opposite of how he felt during Matt Hughes' fight. And when he underestimated Matt Serra, he ended up losing the fight to him, therefore giving the title to Serra. But then going back to their rematch, St. Pierre changed his mindset completely, and he ended up winning, becoming the welterweight champion again. And then after that loss, he went on a 13-fight win streak, which lasted basically until his retirement, because even though he never technically lost before his retirement, after the Matt Serra loss, he's no longer an active UFC fighter. So how do I personally identify with St. Pierre? So I come from kind of a similar background. I've done karate as a child. I still do it now. I used karate to end up learning how to handle myself in situations. I learned how to improve as a person through karate, and I learned how to stand up for myself, especially because I was bullied as a child. I try and learn in every situation. I'm not stuck in my ways where I try and do things by the book. I try and adapt to what I'm dealing with in the moment, rather than having to rely on past experiences. And one thing that St. Pierre does, he wants to work as efficiently as possible, but also work hard, which is something that I try and do. I try and work as efficiently as possible, but also go all in on my time. I'm committed to finishing the task that I have at hand. And what have I learned from St. Pierre? So one thing that I learned is to keep an open mind, because change is inevitable, and knowing when to start changing due to current settings, current environment, changing with the people in front of you. That's important in the long term in order to be successful. I need to keep being innovative, so that in order to keep going and all that, I need to try and think of different things, think outside the box. And then the last thing I learned is to always stay positive. Don't dwell on the past. Don't dwell on any negative issues. Don't dwell on problems and all that. And basically, just try and be optimistic rather than pessimistic. And these are my references.